If your child knows their letter sounds, but they still sound out every single word and reading just isn't getting easier, this one is for you. I'm going to show you one simple strategy that helps your struggling reader move from that slow and choppy reading to more smooth, more confident. And I've used this with hundreds of struggling readers who were stuck. These kids hated reading. Now they're breezing through books. They're breezing through chapter books with way less frustration. And I honestly don't know why we're not teaching more parents of struggling readers this strategy. It is called continuous blending. And so I'm going to break down what this is because we're not breaking words so far apart. Like if we have the word dog, we're teaching them d, ah, g, and they have to hold all those sounds. And for kids who have short-term memory issues, that can be a really big task as well. So I'm going to show you what I mean by this. And I'm going to test out my little screen here. So, all right, let's see, there we go. So if we have a word like Matt, excuse my drawing. If we have a word like Matt, this first letter can be held and held forever, right? We can just keep holding that. So what you need to do with your struggling reader is you need to tell them to hold on to this sound and then open up your mouth to say the next sound. So it's going to sound like this. Matt, Matt. And so that way it's kind of like going down a slide, like we're grabbing all the sounds as we go with us. And that's going to help those kids, especially who their memory is also really hard. It's working really hard. So Matt, if we do, let's say this word, okay, you would prompt them again. So we're going to look at this first letter. We're going to say it with our mouth. Fit, fit. And you have to prompt them probably to go back to the beginning because a lot of kids, they do this. They go fit, mit. That's normal for struggling readers. That's normal for beginning readers. Then you have to prompt them. Once we say all of the sounds really smoothly, we have to go back to the beginning and say those sounds again. So we're going to go fit, fit. Okay? It needs to be very clear, very explicit for your struggling reader. All right, let's do another one before I kind of show you another layer to this that makes this strategy just a little bit harder. Still works. Remember, this is called continuous blending. We are blending continuously, like the phrase says. So let's think of this word, right? This first sound. We can hold that. Net, net. Okay, do you see how I just move right to the next sound instead of going et, net? It's easier once we scoop all those sounds together. Now, here's where I do want to draw your attention to. All of those words, we had Matt, we had fit maybe, and we had net. The first sound on all three of those words are called continuous sounds, meaning you can hold them forever. All of those we can hold. It gets a little bit trickier when we have words like this. The first sound in the word bug is B. You see how that sound stopped right after it came out of my mouth, B. So continuous blending is a little bit different when we have sounds at the beginning that stop. This is called a stop sound, the B. So in this case, we would say, we're going to say this and then move right to the next one. So it's going to sound bug, bug. So a lot of times they kind of have to go back after saying that first sound to be able to scoop these two sounds together easier. Okay, so let me show you another example. Okay, another one. This first sound, stop sound. Right after it comes out, the sound stops. We can't hold it. Okay, so it's going to be pig, pig. Okay, and for really struggling readers, you're going to have to show them this a lot. It's normal. It's expected. We really just have to kind of hold their hand through this process. Let's do one more. Okay, first sound, t. So then you're going to say 10, 10. Okay, so these types of words with that continuous sound at the beginning, those are going to be way easier for kids to do this continuous blending because you can just go right into the next sound. Mat, mat. It just really comes out nicely. The ones with the stop sounds at the beginning, t, b, those ones you have to really explicitly teach that 10 right after that. That's why they have to know their letter sounds like that. If you show them a T, they should be able to say t with no hesitation. So if your kid does not know their letter sounds, you're going to want to go back to that. And I'm going to have another video on correct letter sounds, but you're going to want to go back to that before we get into blending these sounds together. Now, notice all of these words, they're what's called consonant vowel consonant words. You're going to see these as CVC. These are like the building block words. So pig, 10, yes, hug, bug, mat. Those are all, we have to have our kids really solid with that before we start bringing in other phonics patterns. So yes, this strategy of continuous blending does work for it does work for different types of words. So with those silent E words, but once they get up to those types of words, they're probably not going to have to rely on this strategy as much. That doesn't mean they won't need it, but really we want to target the strategy with those CVC or consonant vowel consonant words. So if you want a free game to help your child practice this, just drop the word game in the comments. I'm going to send it your way because this is a really important strategy. It can make a complete difference for your struggling reader. So give that game a try, give this strategy a try at home, and just 5 minutes of this. I know this video is probably a little bit longer than 5 minutes. I get really jazzed up about reading stuff, but just 5 minutes of reading practice can change everything for a struggling reader. So if it's hard today, just keep working at it. Just keep with this strategy. And again, drop the word game below if you want a game that can absolutely target this skill.